Okay, so returning to this, I'm looking at a tangent here. So pupils would have looked at this within junior cycle. So I wouldn't see many pupils having much difficulty with this. So the main principles of it is that we're finding the distance in between our 2 points, or sort of halving that distance. So here we have it here, we got it here. And then what we do very simply is we put our compass on this point and we put it to our the center point of our circle, which happens to be on the higher end of our road here, our higher point. Rotate that up like that, and then we gain our point here. So what we do is we join that back to our original point, and that's our tangent created there. So here we have our tangent line. So what this is very simply, this is the edge of our embankment. If we were to create a horizontal cutting plane at a height of 30, like that, what we have here, then this would be the edge of our embankment. So if we were to create a cutting plane like that, this is what we'd see. And the reason for that is because the road is rising away. We need extra kind of mass or clay to support the road rising. That's the main reason for that. So I feel if pupils can grasp the principles of the horizontal cutting plane, if they really grasp the principles from the previous section, the flat road, then they shouldn't have too much difficulty with this. So now looking, I just want to create the rest of my embankment. So, and with any point along here is going to join up with a contour line of 30. So I have another contour line of 30 here and here. Okay, so what I can do now is very simply, much the same as the last part, or sorry, the last section, is I just create my parallel lines very simply. So I'm going to step them out at a distance of 7.5. So there's one, there's another one, 7.5 would be here, there's another one, and there's another one. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go back in the way as well from the contour line that we created, because there will be contour lines higher than that. So I know that any point here is going to be at 30, but if I step one back in, then I know that's going to be at a height of 35. So very simply, and I'm just going to draw these in parallel now. So there's 1, 2, 3, draw this one as well. And then the final one we'll draw here is the height of 35. Right, so there's our 35 there. Let me spot on the other 35s. There's another one. Where have we? There. Sorry, I did that wrong. What I'm doing here is, because the principles apply the same, actually this is a cut and slope, so anything further away is going to be at the higher point of 35, and anything nearer is going to be at the lower point, because the slope is kind of rising in a direction that way, so anything nearer than this is going to be at the higher side. So to draw this in, so I know this is going to be at 35 here, and then go all the way over. This is another 35 here. See if I can spot any more. So this is 40 here. That's another 40 we have there. So here we have 45, and the overlaps there. And then that's about it really. So if I go back, you can follow this contour back in the way. I'm looking for 25, so there we go there, that's our 25. And see if I can spot any more 25s. I can't, so I know that's going to be the end of that. So let's just ignore this point here that I created. So now very simply is what we do is we just join up our edge of our embankment. So all the points we have, join them back up. So exactly the same as what we did in the last question. We'll join that up, and our road will be going out that way there. Our embankment will be going out. So I'm going to draw that in a bit darker, like this. And this is what we have. So, although, as I was saying, the principles are very similar to the last question, I do feel at the same time that it is slightly more awkward. Because what we have here is, in the last question, it's very simple to kind of know what we're doing. We know that we just step our lines out parallel to the road. But when we are looking at this question, we know that we have, so we have to be thinking about other things. We have to think, right, where do we place our fill cone? Where do we place our cut cone? Where are our points going back? How do we create a tangent? How do we do all these types of things? So I feel that pupils would need to really grasp the last topic before we move on to this one, because if pupils are still unsteady about the principles of how a cutting plane is affecting this, then I feel though they really would struggle with this, because they start to get really confused, and they'd only really start learning off steps. And within DCT we really don't want that. We want pupils to be able to visualize what they're doing. We want them to see, right, if I step down a distance of, imagine now this is, if I step down a distance of 30 here, so I'm just going to use the one that I created, then where is the edge of my embankment going to be? What's it going to look like? Where are my points going to be? These types of things. We want pupils to be able to see what they're doing. We don't want them to be kind of guessing. But apart from that, I feel, pupils, this is a topic towards the end of 6th year or 5th year, however you want to call it. And after pupils studying 5 years DCT, I really feel like there isn't too much difficult within this topic. If they've grasped the last topic, I feel the big shock would be within the last topic, within learning new principles, because although they're not completely new principles to them, they'll be applying them in kind of a separate way to what they'd be used to. So I feel that if pupils can get their head around that within looking at flat roads, then I feel they really shouldn't have a whole lot of difficulty when they're studying this topic. Fucking Paul.